Hey guys, I thought it'd be cool to put in a little sneak peek of what I normally put in for the patrons. I record episodes like this for the patrons all the time, and on a day when you normally get a TAC reload, a reloaded episode, I thought I'd put in some content that was more like what the patrons get a lot of days. For the obvious reason of trying to get you to become a patron. Patrons get content like this all the time, meaning short episodes without a lot of the preambles and the bios and ads. Just a little whisper of what patrons get all the time. With that, enjoy, and if you want to become a patron, there should be a Patreon link in the show notes. Bring enough gun. Sounds pretty cool, sounds pretty manly. That's actually a title of a book, I believe, about big African hunting big dangerous game in Africa. I've never read the book, but I'm familiar with the saying, bring enough gun. How about carry enough gun? That's probably a little bit more germane to our lifestyles today in America in 2024. Carry enough gun. And this thought came to me from one of the patrons posting in the chat about velocities that he got, and he was comparing a 3-inch barrel to a 3.8-inch barrel, which you think, 0.8-inch barrel, not much difference. There was an appreciable gain in velocity, which I'm not surprised by, but just to hash out with you guys, there's a measurable gain in velocity between a 3-inch barrel and a 3.8-inch barrel, let alone between a 2-inch barrel and a 5-inch barrel, which is right around a 5-inch barrel is what I would consider a full-size fighting handgun. So even if you're shooting the same box, spear gold dot, out of the same box of ammo, even though it says 9mm on it, don't think you're just checking a box. I'm carrying a 9mm, I'm good. A 9mm fired out of a 2-inch barrel is nowhere near the same as fired out of a full-size fighting handgun. A Beretta 92, a Glock 17, it's not the same. It's not the same power, and you may drop below, it may not even just be the numbers, you may drop below expansion threshold on that hollow point, which means you're basically shooting ball ammo. So, it's not just as good as, it's not the same. Don't think just because you have a 9mm handgun that you check that box and you're good. You're just as good as anybody else carrying a 9mm handgun. No, you're not. That handgun's not even as good. The big one, that's the secondary one, but the big one is shootability. Unless there's some weird foible or some niggles on a bigger fighting handgun, the bigger handgun's going to be easier to shoot. I would imagine if he didn't just measure velocity, if he also measured like a bill drill, getting fast first, second, third round hits on target, he's going to be better with the bigger handgun. That's how that works. You have more handgun to absorb more of that recoil. You get more grip on the gun. You get more shootability. And that's like one of the core things of modern handgun fighting. Getting fast first, second, third round accurate hits on target. And you do that better with larger handguns. And that's the big thing I want to drive home. Unless you're just, some people maybe just carry a gun as like to make them feel good, like a tactical teddy bear. Oh, I have a 9mm handgun. Oh, I have one of these micro 9s. Ooh, look at me. I have a t-shirt that says Grunt Style, and I drink Black Rifle coffee. And there's nothing wrong with Grunt Style as a company or Black Rifle coffee. I'm not hitting on that. But if you think that having those things and then carrying a 9mm handgun is what makes you effective, it doesn't. It just makes you a dude with a gun. Just like if I walked around, the nearest city of me with a guitar on my back, like, I'm a musician, but I'm not a musician. If somebody asked me to play them a song for $1 million, I couldn't do it. I mean, I may try if they wanted to pay me $1 million, but it's not going to sound anything remotely like a song because I can't play the guitar. You walking around with a handgun does not make you a gunfighter if you can't fight with it. Kind of like me walking around with a guitar with one string as opposed to 6 strings, right? It's just that's kind of an analogy for you carrying a little baby, 2-inch barrel, barely can hold on with 2 fingers, 9mm handgun. Sometimes it's all you can have, but it's not just as good as. So don't pretend that it is. Even the difference between My M18, which I've carried once for actual carry, I've carried it more than that to train with, and I'll shoot it quite a bit because it's harder to shoot. That's kind of the point. It's harder to shoot. I'm handicapping myself compared to the M17. I carried it once to a wedding because I had a pretty decent tailored suit, and that day wasn't about me, and I couldn't really carry the M17 without showing, which is kind of one of the points you could still carry, and it wasn't my wedding. So I carried the M18. But that's the last time I can remember carrying the M18 versus the M17 or my 226, because it's not as good as. Even that difference. And a lot of people would consider an M18 a full-size fighting handgun. I would consider it a compact. But the M17 is better than the M18, which is better than the subcompact, which is better than the 365. Or you can extrapolate that out to a Glock. A Glock 34 is better than a Glock 17. A Glock 17, we're talking about shooting, is better than a Glock 19. A Glock 19 is better than a Glock 26, and a Glock 26 is better than a Glock 43. It just is. And all of those are better than your little, baby micro 380s. It just is what it is. They're more shootable, you get more grip on the gun, more controllable of recoil, more easily clearing of malfunctions, which is a thing that really happens. The bigger handguns are better. They're better fighting tools. So that's just kind of one of the things that I wanted to reiterate with this quick, episode for you guys. Carry enough gun. Are you in it just to have a gun, just to feel good as your tactical teddy bear? Or are you actually expecting to have to fight with it one day? Because those are different things, and be real with yourself. If you just want to carry a gun as a status symbol, just take the round out of the chamber and carry your I don't know, whatever you want, your 365, because you just want it just to feel good. So that when somebody asks you if you carry it, you're like, I carry a gun, that's fine. But it doesn't mean you can fight with it. If you're actually looking to maybe use it one day, because you might have to protect your life or somebody else's life, carry enough gun. That's all I'm really that's kind of the main idea of today's episode. Verse of the day, a good one. Blessed be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle.